George Cole is an iron worker for over 40 years. His brother-in-law, Harold Billingsley, was killed in one of the recent Las Vegas construction accidents. Mr. Cole was previously been the owner, operator, and general manager of Uriah Enterprises, Inc., a steel fabrication and erection operation. Mr. Cole is a member of the Iron Workers Local 433.
Good morning, Chairman Miller, and his distinguished panel. My name is George Cole. I'm an iron worker, retired for 42 years. I've been in the business. I never thought I'd be testifying that OSHA has failed to enforce safety standards for steel erection. I deeply regret that I'm here today on behalf of my deceased brother-in-law, Rusty Billingsley, who plunged 59 feet to his death on the City Center project in Las Vegas. With me today is my wife, Rusty's sister, Monique Billingsley Cole. To further add to our overwhelming grief, after deciding on a $13,500 fine because the accident could have been prevented, Nevada OSHA then met privately with the company and withdrew all citations and fines, stating that Rusty's employer bore no responsibility for his death. I'm here today on behalf of my family and our workers throughout the country. Rusty's death was not his fault. There are two problems here: the unsafe conditions at the workplace and OSHA's failure to enforce its own standards as they were written. We need assistance to confront OSHA on their failure to enforce the safety standards for steel erection and their misuse of compliance directives that have effectively removed vital safety provisions for iron workers. The compliance directive issued by federal OSHA violates the safety regulations contained in OSHA's Subpart R, Steel Erection Standards Final Rule. OSHA standards require a deck floor every 2 floors or 30 feet, which is ever less. And compliance directives eliminated the safety provision for Rusty. This was never more evident than on October the 5th, 2007, when Rusty was permitted to fall over 59 feet to his death. Because of this directive, on that day, I lost my brother, and I gained a statistic. The OSHA photos of his crushed and lifeless body will forever overshadow his energetic, loving life and a kind, generous man. On several occasions, representatives from the Iron Workers International Contractors Association has met with Mr. Edwin Folk, Assistant Secretary of Labor, and his staff in good faith to resolve these issues. OSHA was strongly urged to rescind certain items that contained in this compliance directive that remove safety provisions and create unsafe working conditions for iron workers. Despite repeated warnings, Mr. Folks, from industry stakeholders, members of his own staff, and former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Labor, Mr. Folk has refused to rescind certain items contained in this compliance directive. 2 weeks ago, Mr. Folk visited Las Vegas and requested to meet with general contractors, subcontractors regarding the recent fatalities in Las Vegas. Why would Mr. Folk come to Las Vegas to talk about fatalities and workplace safety when he has refused to rescind the OSHA compliance directive that has been the center of the controversy in Las Vegas? I was informed that Mr. Folk refused to rescind certain federal OSHA compliance directives, but agreed that he would consider suspending them until further notice. Family members, friends, and brother iron workers are disappointed that Mr. Folk left Las Vegas without taking action on this compliance directive that contributed to the tragic death of my brother-in-law, Rusty. I am extremely pleased that Nevada OSHA has formally denounced items contained in Federal OSHA Compliance Directive. After a thorough review, Nevada OSHA officials concluded that certain OSHA compliance directives do not provide equivalent protection. State plans officials refer to OSHA compliance directive as underground rulemaking. When federal OSHA intends to make policy without going through a formal rulemaking process, this is a disservice to the stakeholders in the steel industry who rely on OSHA to provide constant enforcement and interpretation of safety regulations. Nevada now joins other state OSHA plans who have refused to adopt these compliance directives. The working men and women that build America look to OSHA to enforce the safety regulations for our protection. We are shocked, disappointed that OSHA would issue compliance directives that remove safety provisions for the steel erection industry that has been considered a high hazard industry. Today, these compliance directives continue to be a deadly hazard to iron workers and a source of confusion, costly job site delays, and unnecessary litigation. On behalf of Rusty, my family, and iron workers throughout the country, we seek your assistance to question Mr. Folk on OSHA's current policy to not enforce the current safety standards for steel erection and their misguided compliance directive that removed vital safety provisions for iron workers. I hope my testimony before you today will prevent future fatalities and help bring closure to our family. We believe that Mr. Folk is accountable and OSHA should be issued a willful citation for knowingly intentionally violating their own standards. Thank you for not allowing Rusty's death to be evaded.